The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Tinubu, says there are plans to sabotage the elections through the central bank's introduction of new naira notes and continuing fuel scarcity across the country. Tinubu was speaking in Abeokuta, Ogun State, during his campaign rally. He told his supporters that fuel scarcity was artificial and that the unavailability of new naira notes are plots to stop the elections to hold as scheduled. In a vague reference to those he referred to as the powers that be, Tinubu wondered why the fuel scarcity, which began in October last year, had not abated. The rally held at MKO Abiola International Stadium in Abeokuta was attended by APC leaders at the state and national levels. However, the APC presidential candidate called on citizens to remain resolute and resist any attempt to stop the elections. He described the forthcoming elections as a revolution that will usher in a new government.
A sọ fún yín lédè iná a rò pé àwọn lè dá wàhálà lẹ̀ wọ́n sabotage epo wọ́n sabotage epo arépo àlépo àrọ́kadà àrọ́kadà. Ari tricycle, a máa lọ dìbò, a máa wọlé, a máa dìbò, a máa wọlé.
We told you earlier, they think they can cause crisis by sabotaging fuel distribution. Whether there is fuel or not, whether motorcyclists walk or not, the election will take place and we will win. Let them hoard the fuel, let them hide the naira. We will vote and we will win.
Wow. Another drama begins in the House of Stock.
Thursday morning, we thought usually it gets quite dramatic on the first day of the week and then it begins to ease as we get into the weekend. But of course, this is election season. So you would expect one day, something to talk about. But this is quite major, we find, Dr. Abati, because yesterday we had spoken quite extensively on the CBN governor's statements following the MPC, to the MPC meeting. And when he had said that come 31st of January, after that, the 1,000 naira notes, 500 naira notes, and 200 naira notes will no longer be legal tender. And we all know that since this announcement was made in October, in terms of the redesigning of the naira notes, there have been quite a lot of drama. And I spoke about this yesterday, including, the CBN governor being chased after, as it were, by the DSS, seeking an injunction to arrest him, a court injunction, expert order to arrest him based on what they called anti-terrorism, allegations. And then we asked the big question, who is after the CBN governor? What has he done that is making some elements a bit jittery in terms of what are the policies that he's made, which are within his purview as CBN governor, backed by the CBN Act, that is making some people to shake? Why are people afraid of the redesigning of the naira, despite the merits that have been highlighted again and again? One of such is also towards the elections, to curb vote buying. And recall that even when it was debated in the House 2 days ago, Senator Biodun Olujimi said, let's look beyond the elections. Let's focus on Nigerians and how this policy will affect Nigerians. So now let's go back to yesterday's rally in Ogun State at the MKO Abiola Stadium in Ogun State, where Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the APC, is said to, we've heard it directly said in Yoruba, and thanks for the translation, saying that despite the fuel, holding of the fuel, despite the redesigning of the naira or even holding of it, they will still win. So let me ask the question that came to a number of people are asking, following his statement. Number one, who are the powers that be? He wasn't specific, was quite vague. He said the powers that be. The last time we checked, and that's fact, the powers that be currently are members of his party. APC is the ruling party. Number two, the powers that be, the Minister of Petroleum is who? The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Indeed, yesterday, it was announced that we spoke about the fact that he had instituted a 14-man committee to look into this fuel scarcity that has persisted since October of last year, despite promises and efforts by, NNPC, complaints by Moman and the likes. It has still persisted. So that's the first question. The second question is that how does the redesigning of the Naira or the unavailability of Naira affect his particular campaign or the presidential election? We have 18 presidential hopefuls. Why is it only the APC presidential candidate that is worried about the redesigning of the Naira and saying that it is an act to sabotage his campaign? That's a question that he must answer, actually. Why is the fact that there won't be, this push for a cashless policy in the country? Why is it why is it affecting his campaign so much? How does the redesigning of the Naira distract from him being president of Nigeria? These are the questions that we should begin to ask when they make statements like this. We must pay close attention to what is being said and what is not being said. We call 2019 elections. He hasn't yet answered, at least to a satisfactory manner, to why there were 2 bullion vans that went, drove into his Bodilon home. Is this an election based on money? Now more than ever, we must, as Nigerians, understand the importance of this policy at this point. The need for it to be on the 31st of January, the importance of ensuring that during this election, it must be the people's will and the people's choice, not induced by money, that would vote in the next president of Nigeria. And so we will continue to have conversations like that. Let the presidential candidates keep on speaking. The Nigerian people are listening. But Governor Godwin Emefiele has said, and it remains sacrosanct, go and deposit your old notes. Come 31st of January 2023, it will no longer be legal tender. 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 200 naira. And kudos to the Central Bank of Nigeria for the efforts they are making to ensure that they are taking this message to the hinterlands of the nation, to ensure that the cash swap program, the sensitization program, they are having massive campaigns in these areas to ensure that they are able to deliver come 31st of January 2023.
Okay, I've been in this business of public affairs journalism since 1985. That will be 38 years, right? I've never seen anything like what happened yesterday in Abeokuta with the APC presidential candidate. After all, we monitored all the elections, even Babangida's failed aborted election, the 1993 election, and all elections since then, and I've been commenting on all of this. But what happened in Abeokuta yesterday is surprising. It's a major twist in the tale, both at a historical level and also at a contemporaneous level, where you will have the candidate of a ruling political party throwing his own party under the bus. That's precisely what the candidate of the APC said yesterday. Of course, when he referred to powers that be trying to sabotage him, which powers are there? The only powers that be, would seem to be the APC government that is at this time the dominant party in the country. So the first indication that threw across is that the candidate himself has doubts about the support of his own party. Because he was saying fuel scarcity. If they like, let them not give you fuel. If they like, let them change Naira design. These are policies of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. This was a case of the presidential candidate of the APC criticizing the chairman and leader of his own party. This is just the simple truth. And he was unequivocal about it. And he told his audience, they want to scuttle this election. Will you allow them? It's the APC that is in possession, right at this moment, of all the coercive instruments of state. You can only scuttle the election if you have a negative mind with the coercive instruments of state. Because the coercive instruments of state are not supposed to allow anybody to sabotage the election. And those coercive instruments of state are in the possession of the APC and the president of Nigeria. So we seem to have reached a point now where the ruling government is criticizing itself. Because the candidate of the APC is a major state actor, whether you like it or not. So this speaks to division within the APC, I think. The second point, of course, is that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu says the next election is going to be a major revolution. Vote them out, take power from them. He's saying they should take power from his own party. I mean, that's contradictory. I'm trying to do just basic intelligent analysis, without, anybody reading any meaning into it. Now, he talked about the fuel scarcity. The same fuel scarcity on the same day that the Nigerian government told us that they had formed a committee to address the problem, and that the president of the country and the chairman, leader of the APC, where I use chairman in a descriptive sense because the president is the leader of his own party, is going to be the chairman of that fuel scarcity resolution committee. And then you have your own presidential candidate turning against you. And then a number of contradictions yesterday. Before now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu had told us that the first thing he would do would be to remove fuel subsidy. Now, he was contradicting himself yesterday. He said he will do a revolution in Nigeria. He told the people what is coming is a massive revolution. This is a massive revolution that he promised in 2015. He led the campaign. He said he put President Muhammadu Buhari there, and they promised all kinds of revolution, 1 naira to $1. We have not seen that revolution. So what is the guarantee that, okay, the revolution that he's promising yesterday, will happen? He was telling his audience, look, if they don't give us fuel, we will trek. Who is going to trek so that he will be president? Is he going to provide, alternative forms of transportation? But the ideological point, the principal point, is how we have reached a point, this spectacle of a situation whereby the candidate of a ruling government would be condemning his own party. Is a most striking development in this electoral process. I don't know, I have not seen his handlers responding. Maybe they will say it was quoted out of context. It's very easy to blame the media and say journalists are being mischievous, they quoted our man out of context, but I thought we also saw it on television. And we also saw some people telling the candidate of the APC to off the mic. Well, if anybody does not want this election to hold, it cannot be the opposition parties, whose main ambition is to take power from the APC. So he says they don't want the election to hold. He didn't identify those people, but he's probably talking about members of his own party. And of course, the PDP has responded to say that, look, this candidate of the APC is getting desperate because he doesn't seem to be getting the support. A statement issued in Atiku's name says the candidate of the APC is criticizing the president of his own party. And what further evidence do Nigerians need? Okay, what I've tried to do is to just give a general description of the embarrassment that constitutes. One final point, and it is as follows. I hope that the handlers of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu would find a way of making sure that he doesn't go to Abeokuta again before the election, so that he doesn't do further damage. Because the other time that he went to Abeokuta, that was where he was doing Olule, criticizing President Muhammadu Buhari, right? And Dino Melaye, trying to reenact that the other day in Delta State, almost missed a disc, so that we don't have, all kinds of accidents because of gaps. So maybe they should keep him away from Abeokuta, because he went to Abeokuta again and he has delivered this bombshell again, criticizing a government that he himself said he brought to power. So I don't understand this kind of self-contradiction, this kind of self-sabotage. And, others will stretch it further and say all kinds of things. But I think, as a talking head analyst on television, I should just leave it there before, they say, oh, we were being misrepresented. There's no misrepresentation here. All of us listened to what he said and we saw it. And even when they said he should off the mic, he didn't off the mic. And all the people around him laughing and all that, we should bring to question their own sincerity. Are they talking to their candidate? Are they guiding him appropriately? Are they setting him up to fail? So it's not enough for people to just come and make noise and claim, we are in charge of this, we are in charge of this. Can people just apply basic intellect?
Dr. Abati, where do I even start? Okay, let me start from what I said within the week. 23-24, Loroele Ayeje. Wasiu Marshal was there yesterday. Orombo, Irong paro funro, Ekembeke soro. That's how politicians are. So don't get lost in their shenanigans. When their interests don't align, they will abuse each other. Mr. Bola Tinubu now could abuse President Muhammadu Buhari because it's obvious there's friction within their camp. Their interests don't align. And there's reluctance. And that's why you see the first campaign President Muhammadu Buhari made for Bola Tinubu, he said, don't vote fraudulent people. And there was a back and forth reaction as regards that. But Dr. Abati, let me answer your question quickly before I start my analysis. You said, why is it that all of this used to happen in Abeokuta? I'll tell you why. In 1859, a certain British missionary called Henry Townsend started up a newspaper in Abeokuta called Iwe Iroyin, which is said to be the first newspaper, which is the forerunner to Nigerian journalism. So Abeokuta in this campaign has become the Ile Iroyin. That's why we are getting juicy gist out of Abeokuta. I'm just being cheeky there. And like you said rightly, the famous Emilokon speech was made in Abeokuta. And this one in Abeokuta. Long live Abeokuta. Egbawa, Dr. Abati. Let me move on by saying that it is just indicative. And please, I will make some inferences. It is a confirmation that President Muhammadu Buhari has failed Nigerians. And I'm happy Bola Tinubu alluded to the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari has failed by saying that artificial scarcity are caused by those in the powers that be. And President Muhammadu Buhari is petroleum minister. So when we tell their surrogates that there are indications that people have failed, people should also know that President Muhammadu Buhari was said to have failed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidates. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu has also berated President Muhammadu Buhari. But I'm not surprised because, you see, if you get hoodwinked in this their joke, you will miss it. The reason why they are fighting now is their interests do not align. And people around him are also playing him. This is the biggest advice he will ever get. They are playing him because of the money they want to get for him himself. And that's why they can't tell him the truth. They will try to draw him out. When they were pulling him back from talking, he said, don't pinch me. All the people around him too want to collect from him. And this is an objective advice. He likes, he takes it. He doesn't like, he doesn't take it. And we will wait when they will spin the story now by saying that, no, he was just talking about the things happening in the nation. He cares for the nation. That's why he's talking about fuel scarcity. Because we know that's how they're going to spin it. And they will abuse, and probably they will abuse Rufai and say, Rufai, you are very unprofessional. And they will write all sorts of articles. How not to be a journalist, Rufai Oseni. Very funny. He also went further to berate a policy that was made by the CBN to bring sanity to the system. The CBN Naira redesign policy is a policy that will help the growth of the country, and we're already seeing the evidence and the signs in the reduction in inflation numbers. He also went further, berating the CBN, and that's why Daniel Bwala reacted that maybe the presidential candidates of the APC are those that are behind the hits MFLA has been facing. He said that in an independent newspaper. The truth has to be said. Please leave Emefiele alone. It's not your problem. Leave the man to face his policy. And that 30th of January is sacrosanct. Nigerian people, please don't be hoodwinked in the conversation. You can see politicians are trying to push against this because of their own benefits. They've said it yesterday in the campaign. And in the coming days, they are still going to push to discredit the policy. You can call me a prophet or anything. Politicians are still going to push further. But please, Nigerians know that this is the best thing. I'm not saying there are not challenges, but the challenges are being addressed by the CBN as regards making the money available. And banks, please, make the Naira notes available. We are hearing occurrences of banks selling the money to some politicians, the new Naira notes. No, give it to the people. 31st, sorry, I wasn't correct on the dates. All right, give the money to the people, not sell it to the politicians, you banks. Let the CBN policy work because it has come to stay, and stop hounding Mr. Emefiele. Leave him alone. We just want free and fair elections. And it's except if you buy votes that this will happen. But let me round up by saying this. He talked about fuel scarcity, and we've been looking for the solution to fuel scarcity. I want to throw some ideas forward. It's a problem of demand and supply. The NNPC is struggling with getting Forex to pay from all the big partners they buy with abroad. There's short of supply. No matter the NNPC say they have enough in their barrels and enough in their tanks. We have 4 modular refineries in the country. But on my investigation, I discovered that those modular refineries, to get crude, they tell them to pay in dollars. These modular refineries can actually go a long way in ameliorating the problem of production within, because most of the modular refineries don't even get the crude to buy, or they are short supplied of the crude. Why don't the NNPC allow the modular refineries pay for crude in Naira, and from there, so that they can get crude, increase production, and we start to ameliorate these challenges? And as we all look at the grand plan of removing subsidies, because this system is not working. And that's a solution that I want all our presidential candidates to have talked about, rather than just talking about the fuel scarcity. We must have candidates that can provide solutions to the problems. But like I said before, it's politics season. Moving on to the next story. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule has confirmed the bombing of herdsmen and their cattle on the border between Nasarawa and Benue states. The herdsmen had reportedly retrieved cows in Benue to return to Nasarawa State when the bomb exploded at their camp. Governor Sule said tensions in the area had been giving them sleepless nights.
Benue yesterday, but then it crossed over to our state. It had to do with some Fulanis that actually got to rescue their cows, and after rescuing the cows, there was a bomb blast at the area where they gathered their cows to bring them back into Nasarawa State. As a result of that, I have been on it all night, trying to resolve the matter with Chief of Defense Staff, Miyate Allah, Wild Stroke, and all the security agencies, including our Commissioner of Police. So both Deputy Governor and Commissioner of Police are on their way to Doma right now to ensure that we continue to douse the tension that may generate as a result of this. So by the grace of God, we'll see how to ensure that we maintain peace in that area where such bombing had taken place.
All right, Ayo, sad one.
Very sad, and my condolences to the governor and the people of Nasarawa State and the bordering town of Benue State. So as you mentioned, Rufai, these herdsmen were said to have been coming from their cows, who had violated the anti-grazing law in their neighboring town of Benue State, and on their way back, there was an airstrike. The unfortunate thing about this is that whilst there have been rumors as to who is responsible for this airstrike, both governors and security agencies have been unable to say definitely who is responsible. It is currently it's under investigation, and so until we get a full and robust investigation from security authorities, we can't really begin to point fingers, because that would be irresponsible and could cause even more tension in that area. However, we ask that the security agencies provide a full and detailed investigation, and whoever or whatever group is responsible for this must be brought to the book. If it's indeed, anyways, I don't want to say too much because it hasn't yet been confirmed, and until the security agencies come out to tell us who is responsible for these airstrike, for this particular airstrike, then we then can comment on this. But beyond that, Doma local government area in Nasarawa State has come under attacks from bandits, kidnappings. Just a few days ago, they said 6 young people were kidnapped, only 2 have been rescued. So these are small pockets in the north that are still undergoing serious security challenges and unfortunately might not even make headlines. And it speaks to the wider security architecture of our nation today. I wish the candidates of presidential or the presidential aspirants would have spoken to this. Perhaps this would have been the focus rather than what we spoke about earlier today. Making examples of these areas and talking about how they will deal decisively with the unfortunate situation we find ourselves as a nation with regards to security.
Okay, the bigger concern has to do with the elections. 30 days from now, thereabouts, less than. And the fact that as we approach the general elections in Nigeria for 2023, we keep having reports of pockets of violence in different parts of the country. If it is not Funke Akindele being attacked in a market, it will be billboards being removed, or it will be outright violence, large-scale explosions, as was reported yesterday in Nasarawa State. So the big concern has to do with the timing. Will all of these taken together derail the 2023 general elections? And which is why the security agencies have an obligation to ensure that this election is not disrupted by any act of violence, sabotage, before, during, or after. That's number one. Number two has to do with the location of the reported attack. This is said to be between the border between Nasarawa and Benue State. Now, this is not new. Before now, in the last 2 years, even beyond then, we have had reports of conflicts in the border area between Nasarawa and Benue State, specifically of an ethnic coloration between Fulanis and TVs. And on one occasion, the governor of Benue State has had to speak up. The TV Youth Council had to also speak up at some point to say, oh, Fulani herdsmen were attacking them. But what makes it really problematic is a report of the old Egyptian ritual of, reprisal killing. So one group is said to attack another one. The other group engages in reprisal killing, creating a repeated cycle of conflict and violence. And whereas this is not new, the Nigerian state has failed woefully over the years to resolve these conflicts, inter-ethnic, inter-religious conflict. So that's a subtext, I think, of what is playing out in this particular Nasarawa case. Further complicated by the timing of the occurrence and similar issues in other parts of Nigeria. The third point has to do with the fact that nobody is even sure. The state government says, oh, attack on Fulani herdsmen, but some of the reports indicate that, look, this attack, could it be an act of terrorism, or could it be, ethnic conflict, or could it be an airstrike? The Nigerian Air Force reportedly trying to clean up that area, having been given intelligence that there are terrorists in the area. Then hours after the incident, the same Nigerian Air Force has been taciturn. What exactly are they doing in the Air Force? If they're not involved in it, they should speak up. I've not seen a statement from the Air Force, and they shouldn't waste time. If they're involved, let them say so. If they are not involved, let them say so. We can't have an Air Force, that can just be dropping bombs everywhere without explanation, even when it is mentioned in the matter. The final point, the police, they've also put their mouth into the matter. They say they are investigating. Well, these investigations, election season. We are investigating, we will get to the root of the matter, we are on top of the matter. Nobody ever gets to the root of any matter. But this kind of incidents, whether in Nasarawa State or Benue State or a border area or Lagos State or elsewhere, is likely to further, dissuade the people, discourage the people from participating in this major electoral process that we all face. And we hope that in this particular instance, nobody will drop the ball. But the bigger question will be how to resolve interethnic, interreligious rivalry, and the specter of reprisal attacks in certain parts of the country.
It is sad that we have to go through this path again as a country. A strike, people die. The fact that there are many colorations to our crisis. Interethnic, interrace, you name it. Inter-farmer header crisis, and it goes on and on. But I think it's also symbolic because it just shows that whoever is going to become president has his work cut out from him. The fact that we have this for one too many times in the country, and in the last 8 years it's only increased. The fact that when you look at it critically, we still have ways of doing things that could be an anathema to progress and development. The way we've handled our security situation, the way we've done things, the way we've even tried to wade in. And I think many things need to shift for this country to move forward. We'll wait for the investigation so we can have a holistic view, because investigation gives you every view. But it saddens me to say we've seen this way too many times before, because it's not going to change. The investigations will not reveal anything. Nothing will be done. It will still be that same way. Those that will take glory. Those that will sulk, and the reprisal attacks will continue. So we ask diligently, what do we want for our country? What do we want really for our country? And it has to be said that what we want for our country will determine how we treat our country.